the cost of a breakdown on an ambulance especially is much more serious than if it's a private car. If it's a private car, you pull over to the side of the road, you get out your cell phone, and you call a tow truck. If it's an ambulance, then there's 50% chance that there's going to be a patient in the back, and you can't wait for a tow truck. These things have to work. An ambulance is a very expensive vehicle, and the cost to own it is very high per mile. Maintenance and repairs are probably the least expensive component of your total fleet costs. And making sure that they work is of high importance, and to be able to do so at the lowest cost really makes maintenance not only the most affordable part of operating a fleet, but the most important one, because it's the thing that keeps you on the road. We've had multiple times where we've had failures, multiple failures on single ambulances within a 2-week period. So that's why I actually went looking for a higher quality myself and found out that Hayden was producing a prototype, which they sent me 2 prototypes, and we installed them on the rigs and noticed significantly better longevity and performance. So we've since switched entirely to them. A fan clutch can fail in 2 ways. It can stop spinning, which means you're not pulling air through the radiator. It stops being driven by the engine. Or it can lock up and be driven by the engine all the time. If it stops being driven, your engine is going to overheat because it's not pulling enough air. If it locks up, it costs you an enormous amount of horsepower to spin it when it's not needed. The whole idea of the fan clutch is to get rid of heat from the radiator, from the cooling system. So it has to work well both ways. The highest failure rate we've actually seen, though, ambulances operate in 2 kinds of service. They operate in what we call 911 service, where they go to car accidents and things like that, and they spend a lot of time idling on the side of the road. But they also operate in transport service, which is just an inter-facility transport to take a patient from one hospital to a hospital that has a specialty. And we've actually seen a much higher failure rate of the ones that stay on the highway. Very low failure rate of the ones that are in 911 service. And speaking with the engineers at Hayden, we were able to come up with a reasonable rationale on why that happens, because of the loads placed on the fan when the vehicle is underway under full power. There are certain things you should not try to save money on. The cost of repairing your ambulance generally works out to 10 to 25% of the cost of ownership. So you can use purchasing high quality parts as a means of protecting your investment in the vehicle that you own, because the cost of replacing the vehicle on a per mile basis is generally about 5 times the cost of repairing it. So yeah, this is an excellent return on investment. Not only do I recommend them, I pretty much, because of the high failure rate we've seen with the OEM, I essentially won't install anything else right now, because I have a certain amount of responsibility to make sure that the vehicle stays on the road. I have my own liability to protect, especially in the case of emergency vehicles. So I just say no. If they want a cheaper part, then they're going to have to find a cheaper shop.